Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Big Chill Podcast, YouTube edition. Today, we're going to be previewing Group A of the 2020 Euros, right? Still called 2020, but in 2021. Yep, very confusing. And if you haven't, make sure you go and follow and watch all our other group videos. So we're doing a little preview for each group. And then we're also going to be doing a preview for the overall Euros and who we think is going to come out on top. So, Group A. Who wants to start?
Well,
we've assigned just for the purpose of full transparency. We have assigned each other groups, so we know Sam is starting with Group A.
I think
I thought Sam would jump in.
Yeah, that was going to be the idea, so I'll throw in. So yeah, Group A. So that kicks off tomorrow, so Friday. That's the opener of the Euros. So it kicks off in Rome, where Italy play Turkey. Italy are pretty stalwarts in the Euros and kind of World Cup competition. Turkey are actually an interesting one this time around. Like, you see them kind of floating around in cup competitions. They had like a good time in, South Korea in 2002 as well. What's interesting about this Turkish team, though, for this opening game is that they're the youngest average age in the Euros. So they have an average age of 24.9, and then second to that is England at 25.2. So they've got like a young, bright team. I wouldn't say kind of it's to kind of England's quality or caliber, but they've got some interesting players for this opening game. Whereas Italy under Mancini are basically the kind of trademark traditional Italians, really. They don't seem to concede that many with Chiellini and Bonucci at the back. But they scored something like 37 goals in qualifying. You take all of that with a pinch of salt, right? There's always those kind of minor teams that play in these Euro qualifiers, so all the big nations can kind of hump these teams. But it's an interesting opening game because you've got kind of like stalwart Italy versus this. Some pundits have called him a bit of a dark horse, really, in Turkey. But I think Italy will be pretty strong for that. And I think that kind of goes on for a theme with the group, really, is that I think when you look at Italy, Switzerland, Turkey and Wales, Italy are just better than all three of them. So for me, Italy score goals. They've got a good team. They've got some pretty experienced players still. And I think they'll win this group. But so that was kind of the easy part of this group. But honestly, when you look at Switzerland, Turkey, Wales, I think anyone could beat anyone there, for kind of different reasons as well. So like the Welsh have that star quality player in Gareth Bale. We can say what we want about Aaron Ramsey, but they've also got some good international players in terms of capable at that level. But Bale is like a real star potential for them. Switzerland have like a good first 11. Xhaka's not very good at club level, but he kind of is the gel that holds them together at international level, as well as people like Shaqiri. They've got good players, but their problem is depth. Like after that first 11, I don't really see anything there. So if they don't play, they'll struggle. And then you've got Turkey, which, as I've said, some people find a pretty interesting outfit with the youth of their team. They've got Yilmaz up front, who was kind of the 16-goal hero for Lille on their way to the Liga title. So for me, when I look at this group and those kind of three, I fancy Turkey to come second, just because I think they've got kind of more an exciting team. They've got a goal scorer, and I think that Turkey will come out on top against the other teams, even if I think most of them will lose or drop points, certainly against Italy. Switzerland still fundamentally upset me as a country because of that 2006 World Cup game where they had it against the Ukraine. And it was one of the most pathetic games of football I've ever seen in my life. It was like 0-0. And then Switzerland lost 3-0 in a penalty shootout. So they didn't even score in a penalty shootout condition. It was one of the worst games I've ever seen. And I've still got a grudge against them for that game.
That is quite
the entire country.
Quite the grudge. Yep, just
because you said the entire country of Switzerland you have a grudge against.
Yeah,
just to be clear,
plenty of things to go against in Switzerland, but specifically that one. So I just think the problem with Switzerland is that if it's not working for them, They haven't had Shaqiri for the whole qualifier because of injuries as well, so he can sometimes misfire. And then Wales, when you kind of take away that Euro semi-final performance 4 years ago, where they had some really good performances against
5 years ago.
Yeah, 5. Okay, yeah, I guess technically for Euro 2016.
Euro 2020 tricked him up already.
Euro 2016 was
not technically.
They had a good result against Belgium, a really good result, and they played pretty well against other teams as well. But I just think if they're relying on that kind of star quality of Bale there. So for me, if I was going to put the group into a kind of ordering, I'd probably do like Italy, Turkey, Wales, Switzerland.
Well, you're going, Sam, because looking at the odds, Italy are sort of prohibitive favorites. They're 8-15 to win the group. Then you have Switzerland and Turkey as joint second favorites at 9-2. Wales are the outsider at 8-1. So the fact that you've got them pipping Switzerland is in and of itself a little bit of a surprise.
Wales have got a pretty young team as well. They've got some pretty bright players. So it's a little bit of a surprise, but I just worry a bit for the Swiss team, to be honest. I'm not really seeing that kind of depth there that I would hope for, I guess. But yeah, so that would be the kind of look of it. The interesting thing about the Euros, right, is that some of the third place finishes get there. And I think because all three of them could take points off each other, you might actually have the third team in there picking up a good amount of points. But yeah, that's how I see it. So I guess I see.
Wouldn't the logic be that you wouldn't? Wouldn't the logic be that they wouldn't be picking up a lot of points? Well, if they're all taking points off each other.
I'm not sure if Italy will pick up 9. So obviously there's going to be a team maybe like Turkey or someone that will pick up points there. So I think they'll just pick up points in terms of like draws. Maybe like Wales will beat Switzerland, but Switzerland might hold Italy. Maybe those are the kind of things I see. So we will see.
Let me hit you with a really hard question, Sam.
Oh God.
I'm going to classify Group A as the group of desserts.
Okay.
So rank these desserts in order of preference. You got tiramisu. You've got, let's just say, Swiss chocolate,
Okay.
Turkish delights, or Welsh cakes. Which way are you going? There's a clear last place.
I'm not excited by many of those.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Tiramisu just fills me with joy. Just hearing Eddie say I have the potential to choose tiramisu makes me happy, because now I think I'm getting tiramisu somehow.
And Swiss chocolate. I mean, you dislike all Swiss chocolate?
Well, like Milka. That's the one I always remember from airports. I mean, Swiss chocolate's just
that is
boring.
one of them, yes.
It's quite boring as a dessert, right?
Wow, you have vendetta.
Eddie, can I answer?
Bar of chocolate.
Yeah, okay, can we, we know how much Sam hates instances where he's put on the spot, so Frank, rank those 1 to 4.
Are you saying so I would say tiramisu, Welsh cakes, Swiss chocolate, Turkish delights.
You're putting Welsh cake second. Do you know what a Welsh cake is?
I think so. I think I remember from the Great British Bake Off.
Yeah, it's sort of similar to a scone-ish.
It's just a flat scone.
It's like a flat bread.
I love scones. I mean, they're like one of my favorite things to eat. I eat them twice a week.
I thought you were a day there for a second.
twice an hour.
Yeah, tiramisu is pretty good.
The Turkish delights. I think I know what that is as well, but it's super. Is that like super honey sugary?
No, isn't that baklava? I think that's baklava.
Turkish delight's like a kind of like jello-y gelatin kind of. It's sugary and flavored and often in fruits and nuts.
Yeah, that doesn't sound that great to me.
Underrated.
Sam's eyes perked up, but
no,
not for me.
They're not great. My granddad loved them. I never really ate them.
So Sam, I have a question for you as well.
Group A is a real downer of a preview from Sam.
Yeah. No.
Oh, then my grandfather died.
I did not say.
Sam, I have a question for Group A that's actually related to the tournament. The opening match, Italy versus Turkey. It's obviously the opening match of the entire tournament, correct?
Correct.
Do you feel, being the opening match of the entire Euros tournament, that with the excitement so high that Turkey could steal a point? just off like pure emotion. Like
the Italians are just going to be overwhelmed.
Yeah,
but I mean, just like when you play sometimes in those really big matches, that the emotions can kind of get the best of people, and you can kind of get a result that you wouldn't normally expect if you just played like a cool, calm, collected match, right?
Yeah.
Or do you think, like Eddie's saying, maybe Italy can prevail and just dominate, with the added?
You got to know, right? Italy if I think I'm right, Italy haven't conceded a goal for 8 matches.
Yeah,
I believe.
And they haven't lost in 26, right?
I think they've won 8 in a row without conceding a goal.
Yeah.
Very Italian, right? They're very soft, solid defensively, kind of they're playing to their historical strengths.
Yeah.
It's also the one thing to note from this group, right? It's in interesting locations in terms of where it's being played, because you have matches taking place in Rome, and of course, then you also have matches taking place in Baku. So, because, when you think, 2 places that go together, Azerbaijan and Italy.
Yeah, it's I going back to your point, Frank, like there have been some great results early on in competitions. There's been like some surprising results. Like I think Senegal beat France in the World Cup, and that was one of the early games. South Africa won their opener as well in the World Cup, so that was a bit of a surprise. It happens, but Italy are playing at home. They're in really good form. I think the betting's quite odd though. It's only like 1-2 for Italy to win, but 7-1 for Turkey to win. It seems quite an extreme, swing between the two. Yeah. So I mean, clearly they think that a little bit, maybe in the openers can be unpredictable.
I mean, that would be huge for them if they can snag a point off of Italy in that opening match. I think that kind of does set them up in a decent spot to get that second place. So I think they're kind of in the optimal situation of when they would want to play Italy, unless you're going into the last match and Italy have already clinched, and you're playing a team that really doesn't care. But I think that's a pretty good spot to play them as the actual opener of the tournament. And maybe they get lucky.
I agree with you. I think you want your toughest game first. Yes. You don't want it last, because even if Italy have qualified, it's very unlikely that Italy are in a situation where they have not only qualified, but there's no chances of them dropping to second in a group of only 4 teams. Even if if they've got 6 points, you just need one of the other teams to be on 3 to have the possibility of conceivably leapfrogging you. So
yep.
I think you do fundamentally want to be in a position where you play that, you get the tough game out of the way first.
Yeah, there's a few games like that as well, isn't there? Like England, Croatia, you could argue. France, Germany, you could argue as well. There's a lot of the hardest group games coming first, and I agree. I think you would always want the hardest game out of the way rather than the pressure of needing something from your hardest game.
The downside, I guess, to that is that you might feel as if you're playing behind the 8 ball a little bit. So if Turkey lose in the opening match and Wales or Switzerland win, you then do have a huge amount of pressure on your second match, because you are suddenly 3 points behind first and second. And you know that if you don't win that second game, you're really struggling. But I guess that just about wraps up the Group A preview, unless you have any little facts to sprinkle in there, Sam.
Ryan Giggs won't be leading Wales because of his many legal proceedings going on as well. So let's see what the disruption of not keeping his dick in his pants will do, right?
Wow, graphic.
Oh,
they should.
Whoa.
Just remember, YouTube is a platform for people of all ages, Sam. But look, maybe they should let his brother take charge. That would be a fitting punishment.
Unfortunately, it's Robert Page, but I like the idea.
Anyway, guess that wraps up Group A preview. If you're watching this, you can shift on to Group B. See you there.
You can go out of order if you want. Feel free, but go wild.
Be structured.
What a weird alphabet you run, Frank.